It's the fan phone-in. Right. It's been a busy day, hasn't it, in Luton Town land? And with me to sift through the match that we witnessed yesterday, as well as all the transfer going outs, I suppose, because no ins right now. It's my co-host, as always. It's the wonderful Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
I'm all right, thank you very much. Yeah, I almost forgot the game happened. You'd be forgiven for forgetting that game, wouldn't you, to be honest?
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from the sort of 10 minutes leading up to goal, where actually I thought Bramwell coming off worked well for the team. I don't want to see him injured. Don't get me wrong, that wasn't as that, but Kadir actually on the left-hand side suddenly caused him all sorts of problems. Push Clicker further forward as well, and that's what led to the goal. That sort of whatever that was, it felt like about 10 minutes. Other than that, it was, yeah, it was exactly. I think now look, this is the advantage, right, of having a podcast that's recorded. I'm pretty sure when you asked for our predictions, when there was me and Stevie on Wednesday, I said it was going to be the same old slog, 1-0, scrape a 1-0 win. I'm going to call that on the money. I don't get it right very often, but that woman, yeah, God, they were terrible as well. But
Yeah. You said it was going to be attritional. I remember that much.
Yeah,
and
it
did not disappoint. Well, I mean, it did disappoint.
It really did. But
it was one of those
predictably,
games that you're just happy that you came out with 3 points. There are loads of people that are saying our season's over. I don't think the season's over by any stretch. But I
think
do
we might get relegated still.
Well, no, I don't think we're not going to get relegated. But I do honestly believe that if we want to make a genuine push for the playoffs, being 6 points behind Huddersfield, we have to start stringing wins together.
And that's the problem, isn't it?
Away form.
Yeah, but there's nothing about yesterday that told me that that's imminent or going to happen. We saw the same thing. We saw a team come to Kenilworth Road like Rotherham did without any real interest in playing much football. They really didn't. But you'd forgive them for saying that we'll get Luton on the counter attack, or we might score from the odd free kick or corner, because that is genuinely what teams have done. But we caused them next to no threat other than when the goal went in, and as I said, the play before, sort of 9-10 minutes before, we caused absolutely no threat. And we've got Bradford, who admittedly were on a little bit of a downturn of form, although they won at the weekend, and then we've got Cardiff away. So, in those two games, very optimistic among us might say, hey, 6 points out of those two games with a game in hand on Huddersfield and everyone's a winner. The far more likely situation is that we get 1 point out of those two games, if that. If we're being honest, that's how I'd probably see it. I think we're going to struggle to beat Bradford at home, and I think we'd have to perform a minor miracle to get anything out of the Cardiff game the way we've been playing away from home. And Huddersfield have won every game Liam Manning's been in charge of so far. So that's the problem. We've also got...
They're also, they're down to one fit striker.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, because Alfie May's suspension has been upheld as it should have been.
Of course.
I mean, I still think it is a bit of a ridiculous red card, but it's the rules, so etc. That's fine. But then, you've also got to look all the way down to wherever Barnsley are in 15th, and they absolutely wipe the floor.
3 games in hand.
3 or 4 games in hand. I think they're on 25 games. We're on 29, I think. That's 4 games in hand. I think they're 6 points below us currently. So that's another team that we know, and they've got some good players as well going forward. Again, as we know too well. So look, it wouldn't be Luton if they didn't give us at least some hope before removing it from us before the end of the season. So all I'm saying is that Saturday didn't answer any questions that we had. That's the thing, isn't it? Right? But we won. We had to win. We won. Fair enough. And
like Blackpool didn't offer anything. They
didn't.
They didn't until like right at the end, and they had there's some really big players, and they were just bombing balls into the box, and we dealt with that, which was the bare minimum.
We dealt with it, but we also invited it on. I mean, that we're going to because we're low in confidence. But
and we
oh
had
my
no
God,
defensive midfielder playing.
they didn't get in. Yeah,
Until
well,
Saville
that
came
showed,
on.
didn't it? They didn't get into our half in the second half until we scored, and then we were getting through them for fun, and then we decided actually. But by that point, by the way, we were playing about 7 forward players as well because Jack had made lots of attacking changes. So it's like if you go into, you play to your strengths at that time. I know it's confidence, and I know nobody intends to sit back. I get that, but from where we were sitting in Block F. We were lucky not to give a penalty away there.
Oh yeah, that
We
was a
were.
stone
We
cold
were,
nailed
yeah,
on
yeah,
penalty.
it was. Well,
Nailed
the ref
on.
was hoping the ref went to blow the whistle.
Yeah.
I was hoping the ball would end up in the back of the net, and of course it went wide or blocked for a corner, I think. And then he sort of went, "Oh yeah, corner, that'll do." But yeah, look, it was probably always going to be like that. It was never going to be 5-6-0 or anything like that. Of course, it wasn't. Despite our form at home, after the last 2 games, it was always not. It was always going to be an attritional game, so that's fine. I just, yeah, we've got to see a lot more if we seriously want to challenge, because despite the fact that this has been an absolute dog shit league, this season, the teams above us have been better consistently. All of those 4 teams that make up the playoff team, they are better teams than us this season, and that has to change. And at the moment, I can't see it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the game. So I've gone off on one slightly, but I'm sure, guys, if you want to phone in or make some comments on that, then do so.
Yeah,
I thought Casey Palmer was really good, by the way.
Casey Palmer was fantastic.
Really good.
I don't agree with him being a defensive midfielder because essentially it doesn't shield the back line and also completely hamstrings him from actually going forward, playing the balls forward. When he did move forwards, and then you have JJ moving into that space behind him,
yeah,
it leaves you a bit unprotected. It does. I'd like to have that person just stand, like, your job, stay there. Anything comes up, you cut it out and, lay it off to like one of the wingers straight away. But I don't get paid the big bucks, so I can't make these decisions. It's only something I've been saying for the past 2 years, but I calls them as I sees them.
I agree on Casey Palmer. I think his tricks are great, but one of those tricks are going to mean him giving the ball away, and there's no one protecting him behind him. So you're absolutely right. That's the worry. It's like Walsh playing there, isn't it? It's the same problem.
Yeah, you do one little Cruyff turn, get picked off, and then boom, you give away a sloppy goal. Right. Well, anyway, where are our manners? Good evening to everyone tuning in. Absolutely top stuff that you're all here. Read out a couple of comments before we go to our first caller. Right. Who's ready for some technical difficulties? No, there are going to be no technical difficulties. And we're sorry we're late. It wasn't a technical difficulty thing. I had to set up the new overlays. You can see the new overlays. They look absolutely beautiful. They really do. Top work from our new graphic designer, who wishes to remain anonymous because association with our podcast can be very damaging to your to everything associated with you. Some people. Jack Cook, can we loan out Sweet? B Hatter, don't say any hurty words tonight, lads. We'll try not to. Brimster trying to gaslight us into thinking that we had technical difficulties. The sound is working, Brimster. David Pacey, Ollie at OK Football agrees to a loan deal standing behind Deggy in Block F, shouting obscenities until the end of the season. No chance. There isn't enough money in the world for me to go to Block F. Block E's great. I love it. I'm just above the tunnel. It's tremendous. Like, you were in Block F yesterday, Ryman. Like, the view's terrible. I've seen it. Oh. Yeah. I'm worried. I think we have some technical difficulties because it seems to have frozen on my end. No, we're back now. I hope that didn't drop out for a little bit. You want to just talk quickly to check that the sound is still coming. It says no drop frames, but I am rather paranoid about this. It's frozen, but it's back. Ryman was just saying all the people in Block F are really, really stinky. In case that stream cut out, I'm just filling you guys in. Yeah, but it's just you're standing next to your nephew, aren't you? So that's what that smell is. Yeah. Yeah, Brimster says Casey Palmer or Joe Johnson was man of the match for me. I'm inclined to agree. I think that was tremendous. Yeah. Like he was told to go away, bulk up, and he has, and it shows. He was absolutely tremendous. Here's a good comment. Callum LCFC, did you notice many people left in the 83rd, 84th minute yesterday? Yeah, 12 minutes of injury time was quite difficult, but I did notice someone that left, someone like 2 rows in front of me left, like bang on 90. So I guess some people want to, why is everyone saying muted? Ryman, are you there? You're still here, yeah, but your audio is not. Wait a second. I know exactly what I need to do for this. Let's transition back in. Right, Ryman. Let's.
Hello.
Yeah, your audio's coming in. Lovely, jubbly.
Hey.
There we go.
Because
Hey, we're back. Nothing can stop us now.
don't worry, I wouldn't have said anything insightful anyway, so you wouldn't have missed much, I'm sure. Should we get our first caller in while it's working?
Let's get our first caller. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing here. So,
I'll
call
bring
in
Pete in
progress.
if you like.
Yeah, you bring in the caller. Here we go.
I'll bring in Pete.
Yeah. Okay. Back by popular demand. Pete probably should have given him a warning that we were bringing him in. Oh wait, hold on 1 second. I know what's happened. No, I don't think he's muted, but I do think that there's another. Yeah, muted again. Here we go. So here we go. Ryman, can you talk? You should be back now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are back.
Yeah, you tell me.
You
I
are
can
back.
hear me.
I believe you are back.
I am in this
so
room.
What I'm going to do...
Pete is definitely muted on here on Discord, so that might be the issue there. Pete, if you can hear us, if you can unmute, mate. If not, that we'll keep you in and have some comments while we get things started. There we go. We can hear you, mate. There we go, loud and clear. There we go.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah.
we were saying, just as we were saying, there were no technical difficulties. But yeah, we're fine.
I tried.
Maybe a Sunday night without a few technical difficulties.
It is exactly, that's it. Yeah, exactly. You didn't leave on the 83rd minute.
Oh wait, this is absolutely fantastic, but apparently no one can hear you because I have managed to balls this up spectacularly. Right, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna remove studio mode. I'm gonna talk through what I'm doing because I don't. Yeah. I honestly, I'm making this up as I'm going along, trying to figure this out. Okay, so I go to Mac OS audio capture. Here we go. We go application audio capture. I want Discord. Of course, I want Discord. And now, can you guys talk?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here.
there we go. There we go. You guys should be incredibly loud there, but you will be back. That is what matters, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Let's start again. Pete, good to have you along with us, mate. And
Yeah.
you can tell us about the chap that was sitting in front of you and what he was doing.
Yes, mate. So, like I was saying, it was another one of those turgid affairs at home, wasn't it? Where we have all the possession and but it's boring to watch. And the guy in front of me, I looked down at him and he was watching the darts. Van Veen against somebody or other. I can't remember it. What? Oh, Aspinall. That was it. Yeah. Because I started to watch it as well. It was great. But I mean, let's be realistic about this. We had one shot in the second half, which resulted in a goal, and I think that took a slight deflection. And to be honest, I mean, they should have had a penalty as well. But the fans are hanging their hat on our home form, unbeaten in I don't know what is it, 10 games, something like that. But if any of
9.
these teams, is
Almost.
it 9?
Yeah. Bradford
But
coming up next to make it the 10th. 10 in a row.
yeah, but if any of these teams in this dog shit league had a decent striker, we'd have been 2-0 down inside 15 minutes in most of them games, wouldn't we? How Blackpool are mid-table in this division is beyond me because that just shows you how crap this league is this season. Palmer came on last night. I don't know whether you heard him after the game and said that we've dominated possession in the last 3 games. But yeah, we have, but we've scored 1 goal. That's hardly promotion material, is it?
And about 3 shots on target in the meantime as well. It's
Yeah.
not as if we've been hammering them and been unlucky, is it?
I mean, this possession-based football, we're trying to play like Holland 74 and we haven't got the personnel to do it. It's, I think I'm thinking of taking a book actually next Saturday, but it's just so boring to watch. I mean, the programme notes as well, I've got to touch on that with Wilkinson saying, the rumour mill culture of the fans doesn't help the players or the club. Well, David, if the club operated with a little bit more transparency at the board level, then perhaps the fans wouldn't have to speculate all the time. We get nothing back from the club at all, do we, really? And yet, 3 years ago, we were the blueprint for every club in the Football League, weren't we? Everybody wanted to aspire to be Luton Town. I mean, I bet they don't now.
Well, it's because we haven't moved on with the times. That's the biggest issue, and it said it in the program notes. I'll get the actual quote because it is absolutely damning what he said. I sent it in a WhatsApp to someone. Actually,
well, yeah. Just while Ollie's finding it, Pete,
yeah.
Ollie and I didn't really talk about this yet because we knew it would come up, but. Someone said about us gaslighting. It's constantly being told by the board that we don't know what we're talking about, or be patient, or our comments aren't helping, etc. We are mid-table at best, League One, as you say, and performing like it. Yesterday felt like a relegation battle, more than it did a promotion fight. That's for sure. And keep saying it, but 2 seasons ago. We were beating Brighton 4-0 at home. What did the board honestly think fans are going to be like at this point?
It's almost like Gary's taken his ball home, and it don't matter how many times we knock on the door to see if he's coming out, he's not going to answer.
I was going to say it's like exactly, he's declared.
Great to get 3 points, but let's not kid ourselves that we're anything other than an average team in a poor League One. When I played in the 80s and I played in the junior leagues up in Scotland, you were lucky to finish a game with 2 legs. if you don't want to pick up injuries, try wearing a pair of shin pads that are not designed for a 5-year-old. You know, today's footballers, it's all about designer wash bags and headphones rather than wearing adequate protection like a decent pair of shin pads. So, you know, whilst I feel a little bit for Bramall going off, you know, I thought that was a decent tackle. I mean, you know, he took the ball first. All right, he went through the player a little bit, but you know, these players are asking for trouble wearing these poxy shin pads, aren't they?
Like the size of a Tic Tac box.
Well, that's ridiculous, isn't it? And talking of headphones, I hope Jack listens to this podcast because, you know, if he is, please, 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 when we pull up at away grounds, can you stand at the front of the coach and tell all the players to take their headphones off and then engage with the fans when they get off the coach? You know, sign a few autographs, have a couple of pictures taken, because the Luton fans are extremely loyal and they travel the length and breadth of the country spending their money to watch this crap, and they're getting nothing back for it, are they?
I said
Absolutely
exactly
nothing.
that to my dad. I think we're watching the Plymouth game and the pre-match stuff came up, and you see all the players coming off the coach with their headphones on. So they've just been sitting with their headphones on the coach, not talking to each other. It's just
no
kids
wonder
these
they can't
days,
play.
probably glued to Netflix or something like that, and they come off and they got their headphones on. They're ignoring everyone. Like, come on. You can walk into the stadium and then you see like shots from inside the stadium. They're still walking around the pitch with their headphones on. It's, you know, like, you know how Don Revie used to do it. Essentially, he had a mandate on what haircut you could have and on what you could and couldn't do. I'm not saying you need to impose martial law, but you need to have like basic rules, like no headphones here. And I know clubs have these rules. You know, there have been so many leaks of teams that have like leaked their fine list. You know, just have one for no headphones allowed. Frankly, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I know football has changed, and maybe, you know, I'm stuck in the dark ages a bit, but, you know, I don't want to hear about XG, red zones, false nines, inverted wingers, double pivots, low block, high block, bloody tower blocks, putting the ball at risk, moments in games. It's all a complete and utter load of bollocks. Huh.
It's the way it
I
is.
don't want to hear about false nines ever again after
No,
after Huddersfield.
you know, you go back to the Huddersfield game on Tuesday night. I actually really enjoyed watching Huddersfield defend in the last 15 minutes. I thought it was great the way they were defending like a proper team should defend, heading the ball out, knocking it long behind the fullbacks, regrouping. And as much as I'm a Luton fan, I actually wanted them to hold on, which is a weird thing to say, but I thought they defended so well. They deserved it.
But to play devil's
Absolutely
advocate
deserved
there,
it.
we enabled them by attacking them so slowly. We let them
yeah.
keep dropping back into the shape they wanted to defend in. And we do that a lot.
Well, and then bringing it back to the Blackpool game, that's exactly what we were doing again against Blackpool, is that we were clearly, the aim was to get it out to the wings, which is fine. But then the ball stops again. You've got someone as fast as Morris on the pitch. I thought Morris had a poor game personally, because, you know, you get it out to someone like Morris and he waits for 5-10 minutes before deciding what to do with it, and then it goes straight back through the middle, when by that time there's about 3 or 4 defenders back, because they all know what's going to happen. Your only goal scorer really is Kadua and Clark. So you get enough players on those, and that's all you need to do. There's not a big man to head it in, so you're not really worried about the cross. I think Bramall put one really good cross in the first half that went along the 6-yard line. The goalkeeper didn't know what to do, but there was bloody nobody there.
Do you notice Snacky Wells didn't jump for that? So the ball got solved.
Well, that wasn't the one I meant, actually.
Oh, you're talking about the one where
course,
Clark was near post, Wells was in the middle, and Shader Morris was at the back.
Yeah, there was just no one there. There's no one risking to get in front post, and that's what you need. You need someone busting front post.
They couldn't do it anyway because the Blackpool defenders were about a foot taller.
But that's
than
the
each
thing.
of them.
and then even more so accentuated against Huddersfield. I mean, we don't go back there too much, but it becomes so predictable. And while Pete's right, they defended for their lives, as you would expect any team to do who wants to get anything out of the league. It's also very predictable. But yeah, I mean, Nakiwell's not jumping. It's interesting. I had a debate with my nephew about this, who said basically he had no chance of getting there. And I said, yeah, but if he's competing for the ball at least, then it puts pressure on their defence, which, let's be honest,
he didn't even get off the
as
ground.
soon as they were put under pressure, their defence, they wobbled. They really did. As soon as we pressed them, they put the ball straight out for a throw in. Cohen Bramall won it back a couple of times, etc. Yes, he's probably not going to get to that ball ahead of the defender, but you at least make it difficult for him so that you might get onto the second ball, and that's the problem, isn't it? Exactly that. Whether that's belief, whatever that is, but yeah, we're just so predictable. I mean, as Pete said, we could all see it happening. We all knew exactly what was going to happen because we were low in confidence, and we've seen it before. We're just going to pass it around, and not get anywhere with it.
I think to be fair to Wilshere, he picked a team on Saturday to win the game. And, on paper, it looked pretty strong, didn't it? But, Palmer looks like he's a good addition. He's willing to get on the ball. He wants the ball. He's on the front foot. But he can only play with the players that he's got around him. And he looks up and there's nothing really, is there? I mean, he started to drop deeper and was picking the ball up off of Anderson, playing quite deep. And there's not too many players who can make something happen from there, unless your name's Ross Barkley. So, it's a bit of a struggle. I mean, I do wonder what the next 24 hours are going to bring, because I see that Will Walters has gone out now as well.
Is that confirmed now?
That's confirmed, yeah. So, well, no, I've seen it on a couple of streams.
Pete O'Rourke, to be honest, Pete O'Rourke is pretty on the money when it comes to.
If he said it's happening, it's probably happening.
Yeah. I mean, with Fane going as well, I'm hearing whispers that Walsh is off. I don't know whether there's any credibility in that.
I heard people talking at the ground about him being off to Ipswich. I've seen nothing online on this at all, and I don't think it is. He's apparently ill. I think.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of illness around at the moment. So it's
I think maybe people putting two and two together. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. But
how do you feel? How do you feel about Wilshere saying that Isaiah Jones can play right back?
I was having a long conversation about this for the game, actually. I'm fine with Izzy Jones playing right back if Izzy Jones wants to play right back, and I'm convinced he'd be bloody good at it. I think he'd be one of the best in the league, as I think he'd be one of the best right wingers in the league because he's so good.
Attacking,
the problem. No, I think
defending.
I think
he'll get dunked on more times than Isaac Kabore.
Well, no, I disagree on that. But fine. But my issue with it is more the fact that he can't play right back from the treatment table. That's my biggest issue. It's fair enough saying that Izzy Jones is a really good player, because I don't think many people would disagree. But he's been injured more times than he's been fit. It's like Hakeem Odoffin. I think he would be a decent, serviceable right back as well. But he's never fit. So what's the bloody point?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a feeling that if you play him at right back and he's involved in a few big tackles, he's made out of Pyrex, isn't he? He's going to shatter. Without a doubt.
That's my problem with it. He's put in some good tackles in the past. I think he's probably better going, and he's taller as well than Roy Walters. I'd rather him in that sense. But yeah, I just don't trust his fitness, which is not exactly a controversial thing to say about a Luton player. But that's the thing, is that on paper, we've been saying this for 2 years about, you just wait until whoever gets back and we'll have a decent team. Marv gets back, or Reece Burt gets back, Tahith Chong gets back. We said this about all these players, but we did. I know, but we did say that about Tahith Chong. You laugh, Ollie, but we did say that. All of us did. Right?
I never
These
did.
Come back and suddenly, well, you might not have done, but I say there's in the the Luton fan base particularly saying, like, well, you get these players back, etc., and suddenly it looks different. We've been saying that for 2 years. We just can't bank on it, and that's the problem. I mean, we'll talk transfer window, I'm sure, in the second half of this anyway. And just, I've no issue with any of the players that have going personally on its own. I've no issue with it whatsoever. You know, these aren't players that I hold to dear to my heart at all. You know, they are players that have been involved in relegation, and for nearly all of them, not shown any interest this season whatsoever. When the fights come to them, they don't want to know. There's
It's one of
plenty
the
of
most
people going, "Oh,
unlikable bunch in
exactly.
30 years.
I'm not shedding a tear over Millie Alley going to Portsmouth and scoring, right? Because when it came to playing for Luton in League One, he couldn't give a shit. He didn't play well any game this season, so I'm fine with it on the premise that we get people in, and that's the thing. So yeah, I
But
think
there aren't enough Jordan Clarks, though, are there?
well, exactly.
You know, if we had 4 or 5 Jordan Clarks, he's the only player I think that gets the club and genuinely enjoys playing for the football club. But again, you know, he's out of contract in the summer, so you know what's going to happen there. You know, I know he's getting on a bit, but he could still do a job. But I mean, if we go up, you know, the chances are we're going to struggle in the championship. You know, I can't see, unless something drastic's going to happen, how we would even compete in the championship with with the squad that we've got at the moment. And it doesn't matter how good a player Jack Wilshere was in his day. You know, good players don't necessarily make good managers. We've seen that with Hullet, Shearer, you know, Rooney, people like that. So, you know, whilst he's got this philosophy of knocking the ball about and making us look absolutely incredible, it's not winning us a huge amount of football matches. And, you know, it's turning the fans off a bit. I mean, the people that sit behind me, they normally sit there. It's a woman and her daughter. I mean, I normally have to sit there for 90 minutes listening to them talking about their favourite pop stars. But I didn't have to do it this week because, you know, I don't think they bothered, because they just thought we'll give it a miss this week. And I know so many people who are in that boat. We talked about it last time I was on, where I went shopping in Milton Keynes. You know, a couple of my mates have said, oh, I don't think I'm going to bother on Saturday. And we've still got that. I don't know how we're going to break out of that unless we start playing a bit more exciting football and knocking it around for 90 minutes and choosing the odd moment, as Jack Wilshere says, is not going to cut the mustard, is it?
No, completely agree. Let me read this this passage from David Wilkinson's boardroom notes. There was a lot to unpack from it, to be honest, but I think this one was the most worrying paragraph in the entire program notage. What is clear is that on the way up, recruitment was much more of a pleasant process, as you could persuade players to join the journey. The damage our visit to the Premier League has done to us on recruitment is enormous. And I don't think anyone fully appreciates the gulf in wages even now between League One and the Championship, which is only going to widen. It's like they know they fucked up, but they don't want to accept that they fucked up.
I bet he took a pay rise.
Right. Just can we ask David Wilkinson if he thinks Luton are the only team to ever got relegated from the Premier League? Are we the first and only ever team to get relegated from the Premier League? How is this news? How is it news that a team gets relegated, people want to leave because they think they're better than that team, some unscrupulous agents come in because they know that you've got lots of money? Like, how is that not absolutely mind-bogglingly obvious that is going to be the case? I'm sorry, that is utterly ridiculous. Of course people knew that and took it into account. They just thought that the club might have some semblance of a plan to deal with it. But clearly that's not the case. The real problem, David Wilkinson, is your mentality hasn't changed since the last time we were in this league. That's the problem.
100%.
And not the fans. That's
and
the
let's
problem.
get this right as well. The board were probably well paid themselves prior to our journey to the promised land. And I haven't got a problem with that. You know, every organisation needs a group of people leading from the front. But once we reached the summit of the Premier League and there was all this, you know, revenue sloshing around at the club, you can bet your bottom dollar that they all had a nice, handsome pay rise.
So from the way I understand it, the board were not paid. They did get dividends, I believe. I think there's only one salaried employee at the club who are on the board. On the boards, yeah. I won't mention names. Only one that receives bonus and salary. But the rest of them, they're all wealthy individuals. They get dividends. They put money in. I think they've all been repaid now.
They've done nothing to stem this tidal wave of disappointment over the last 2 or 3 yeyears, have they?
Oh no,
nothing.
no, they massively dropped the ball. I think I was saying it to Ryman pre-kickoff. The club has grown. Like, fair play to them. The club has grown, but that happens when you go to the Premier League. But it's grown to such an extent that they are completely unable to actually manage it because it's beyond their realms of comprehension. They think they can because, how long have they been in place? Like, since 2006, I want to say 2007. So it's coming up to 20 years. How many companies do you know that have had the same CEO for 20 years?
Yeah. And listen,
the company's grown and the landscape of football has changed. You need to change with it. Otherwise, you end up getting left behind, as we are now.
When he took on John Gurney and he was still a fan, that's the Gary Sweet I want in charge now. The bloke who had us all pulling in the same direction, like one big family, all with the same heartbeat. Not like this kind of, I don't know, it's just so disconnected from the board level all the way through to the fans. He needs to get back to the Gary Sweet of old, the bloke who's sitting on the terraces, like absolutely kicking every ball. I just don't see that anymore. It's just not the same club, and it all started as soon as that fella missed that penalty for Coventry in the playoff final. That's when it all started.
Yeah, but no more Billy Big Bollock stuff. None of that Billy Big Bollock shit. It's famous last words, isn't it?
Well, exactly. I think as well, though, regardless, you can't just be judged a good owner because you've got good intentions. A good owner or a good CEO and a good board are also people that make good decisions and get the people in that need to. Why, when we were relegated from the Premier League, didn't we get staff in that have been there before? If the club, which is fair enough, we know the board have never experienced that. They're all pretty much first timers when it comes to owning football. In fact, I'm pretty sure they all are completely first timers. Gary Sweet's certainly not been involved in football before that point. So that's fine, but then get people in from clubs like, I don't know, Norwich, Sheffield United, Burnley, clubs that have constantly got West Brom, clubs that have constantly gone back between the Championship and the Premier League, and understand what that drop is like and how to deal with things like parachute payments, etc. That for me is common sense, and we didn't do it.
There was ego. Gary was in the pub after that Fulham game. Gary was in the pub telling fans we're going straight back up.
But for whatever reason it is, that's poor ownership. That's poor running of a club to not safeguard against that. That really is. And just to make the assumption that, we keep our best players and somehow we'll go back up.
No, but you're absolutely right. You need a chief exec who is experienced in the changing scope of a football club. Like, we are not the same club that we were 20 years ago. Like, getting relegated to the conference. We're not the same club. And fair play. I keep saying it. Fair play for getting us back to where we were. I mean, Nathan Jones and his recruitment and his impetus and foundations were a very big, strong hand that pushed us up. But ultimately, times changed for the football side to change. And the board need to have a long, hard look at themselves and decide what to do. Because there's no succession plan. Like, what's going to happen? Like, Gary Sweet's 62, Wilco's mid-70s, I want to say. Bob Curzon's old. They're all.
You've got to get. You've got to get back to basics, because you look at them up there in the director's box, and a mate of mine says it's like watching an episode of Last of the Summer Wine. And it is. You see them all up there. You've got to get back to basics and get the fans involved. You look at Wrexham, all right, they've got loads of money, but what they've been really good at is involving the community and all the shops from your butchers to your newsagent have got Wrexham flags in the windows and, and scarves and everything. You go down Luton Town Centre and none of the local shops have got Luton memorabilia in the window or anything. They haven't engaged with the local people. They're so removed from that. But then they'll trot out this crap and invite people up to Luton Who to tell Luton why they support the club and why they love it so much. Well, they're just going to cherry pick the best ones of those and probably publish those and say, look, we had Joe Bloggs, what a great fan he is. But you don't talk to all the fans that are getting a bit pissed off before the game.
They're not a fan of negativity, Pete. That's why.
No, don't say negativity.
But in negativity, there can be a lot of constructive criticism. Failure is never a bad thing if you're prepared to learn from it.
They don't want the constructive criticism. They don't want it.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Do you know what?
Shits what fans think. They're busy. They'll be busy telling us to stop with the free speech or, as it was put in the program notes, abuse. Providing you're not downright disgusting or racist, you can have any opinion you want. If a player, like the state of Jerry Yates, terrible signing.
Well, I said, I'll be surprised if he didn't miss his turn-in on the M1 when he went up to Sheffield.
He only lives 20 minutes away.
From Sheffield. He's from Doncaster, isn't he? Look at you and your geography knowledge, three podcasts in a row. Yeah, don't think I haven't noticed.
We don't want to criticise the club, but I mean, they make it extremely difficult for us to do it at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to come in here and have a moan. I want to be coming here saying, God, it's fantastic watching Luton at the moment, and aren't the board great at the moment, engaging with the fans and all of this, but I can't because they're doing none of it.
That's why we started it, right? That's why we're doing it, is because we want to sit here and talk about Luton being what we were a couple of years ago. And
in your face,
what's that?
Underdogs.
Yeah.
What's happening with the
bastards?
What's happening with the Virtue cult? Have we heard anything about that yet?
No.
Next week,
Well, Ian Holloway had a Premier League head loss. I honestly, when I saw it,
I thought phenomenal.
I thought it was like a phone jacker skit. Genuinely, I didn't realize it was actually his post-match. That was sensational. So no, we don't know anything about it. Who knows? They've been fined £1,000, and Ian Holloway's absolutely gone off on one. Sensational.
Yeah, that's the FA bit. The AFL make their decision next week, I think. So we'll find out then.
Yeah.
While you guys were talking about the board, do you know what just occurred to me? And maybe this occurred to everybody, and I'm just behind. Just the change in optics relatively quickly. I remember when Nathan Jones left the first time, and I'm sure everybody does who's listening, watching this. I went to Sunderland away the next game, and how much behind everybody was behind Gary Sweet and the board, and how backhanded it was all done, and what he'd done to us and everything else was just...
He is not the man awful. He professes to be.
Etc. Yeah. How weird is it that, however many years down the line, and we've almost, swapped completely that viewpoint round, and people are desperate to see a Nathan Jones style character, or just Nathan Jones involved in the club again, and calling for Gary Sweet's head. Who would have predicted that? Genuinely, because that is some kind of turnaround in terms of where the fans are and the board. Anyway, sorry, it just occurred to me as you were talking about it, just how different people feel about the situation.
Well,
now.
Because Nathan Jones screwed us all over. Yeah, there you go, Pete. Funny old game. Nathan Jones screwed us over first time of asking. Absolutely. I remember that day very well. My dad called me and was like, Nathan Jones, he can't be going. And I was like, I said to him, there's no way he's going. I will bet anything that he will not go. And then he went. And we all felt hard done by. So, yeah, of course, we all, protected the egg. We all huddled together for it. Yeah. But he came back and he sort of did half a job, didn't he?
Well, he got a good result on Saturday. Was it Saturday or Friday?
Everyone's beating Leicester at the moment. I mean, they are.
Well,
but yes. Oh, well, he's gone. Yeah, but he's been gone a while now, isn't he? A week or so. But Yeah.
Listen, he might not be everybody's cup of tea, and he does love himself a bit, but at least he showed a bit of passion and desire.
He had
Yeah,
balls
and
and
that's exactly what you
ego.
want. Yeah,
He stood up to
absolutely.
Gary Sweet. I think that's a big part of it. Essentially, if you look at the transfers we made with Nathan Jones, essentially Nathan Jones had to meet all of the people and vet them. And he obviously is a tremendous judge of personality because he can get people, he can meet someone and decide immediately whether they are the right type of character. He got some wrong, but essentially compared to, and I put a tweet out today with our, I think, top 20 highest spends, since the turn of the millennium. And they have been absolute dog shit. Whereas Nathan Jones, he got a lot more right than he got wrong. Whereas now we're getting a lot more wrong than we're getting right. I said in the tweet, pick two players out of this list, or pick 4 out of this list that were actually good value for money or made our team better. And it's very difficult.
The jury's out. The jury's out for me on Wilshere. He's a bit of a cardboard cutout of a manager for me. He stands on the touchline, and when it's not going well, he seems a bit. I don't know. He just seems a bit void of any answers. He just doesn't. He doesn't fill me with confidence at all.
Naive. You say naive?
He might evolve into a decent little manager, but I don't think he's ready for the cut and thrust of League One, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But time will tell. I mean, who's to say we don't go on a run of 3 or 4 games now and we pick up 10 or 12 points and all of a sudden, we're in the top 6 and life's looking rosy again. I mean, for us to be 7th, 6 points off the playoffs, after the football I've watched this year, is utter madness. I just can't believe we're still challenging, if I'm honest with you. But like we keep saying, the league is shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
but it's not just League One. I think the Championship's a really poor standard this year as well.
But there's no centre forward in League One that's cutting it up, is there? There's nobody who's scored.
Tolach,
well,
nobody
even him.
One. He's not battering it. I think Jack Marriott is top goal scorer out of centre forwards.
Yeah, but how many goals has he got? Nobody's scored 20 goals this season.
Same in the championship last season. I think it's a change of the way football's going.
False nine.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think so.
Don't talk about false nines.
But look, when we were in the championship last season, I don't think it was a striker that got top scorer. I can't remember who it was, but I don't think it was a striker.
I mean,
and I think Clark's
probably got his best return since he's been at the club this season, has he?
He must be.
Yeah, he's getting there. He's getting there. I think that was 7 yesterday, but that's because he's playing the false 9. Well, the false 9 because Naki Wells is dropping. He's leaving loads of space for Kajua and Clark to run into, and Morris should be running into it as well. That is the false 9 in a nutshell, which I absolutely despise as a formation because it just means you never have anyone up top to pass the ball to. Because the ball's going that way, but your striker's going that way.
I dug out my 95-97 shirt the other day, and I went on the internet and looked at the team. Now, how many of these
did you go on Hatter's Heritage?
No.
Oh, mate, you got to use Hatter's Heritage if you want to check out.
How many of today's players would get in this team? Foye, Linton, Mitchell Thomas, Steve Davis, Marvin Johnson, Kerry Hughes, Paul McLaren, David Oldfield, Buncho Genchef, Tony Thorpe, Dwight Marshall. And on the bench, Graham Alexander, Andrew Fotiadis, Gary Waddock, Julian James, Matthew Upson. I mean, how many?
The first team I remember really well. That is.
How many of the players today would get in that side?
So that was 95. I think Boncho was probably the weakest link in that team. But that was like Mark. That was the season I started going to football. And for me, that is a team of heroes for me. I had Dwight Marshall was the first name on the back of my shirt. Marshall 11. I love Dwight Marshall. He was.
I mean, for a Tony Thorpe now.
Well,
Yeah, quite. Well,
Tony
first
Thorpe.
time round. Yeah.
Well, Tony Thorpe in 96, 97 bagged 31 goals.
Yeah, amazing.
Incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an insane
Absolutely
team.
incredible.
It was an insane team, and
I bet he didn't wear shin pads from a 5-year-old.
I think.
no.
Yeah. I think just back quickly on Jack Wilshere as well. I think I don't disagree with what you're saying, Pete. I don't. The jury's got to be out on a new manager, definitely. But I said it last podcast, and I'll say it again, that everybody knew what kind of football Jack Wilshere was going to play. None of this should be a surprise to anybody. You know the Arsenal team he's come through. You know that he's an academy manager as well. And then we've got to therefore give him the players to do it. If we're going to hire Jack Wilshere as manager, knowing full well the football he's going to play, we've got to do better and hire the players that can play that system better than we have done. That's the thing. So for me, that's got to be down to the club and recruitment as well.
Yeah, it has. But a good manager has got to be able to adapt to situations as well. That's what separates the good managers from the bad. I mean, you look at Mourinho in midweek. I mean, sending his goalkeeper up, bang, in the back of the net. Only a manager with a big set of cojones like him can do that. And, that's what separates, the wood from the chaff, doesn't it? You've got to be able to adapt. If things aren't going your way, you need to be able to change the way you play and say, right, we'll put a big lump on up front, or we'll stick a centre half on up top, and we'll go long. But he doesn't do that.
So that's a good point. Like we don't even have those options. Maybe it'll be different with Elijah Adebayo coming back, that we will have that option, but he'll have to
Devante Cole.
Yeah, well, Devante Cole, exactly. But Blackpool yesterday, one thing I noticed was when they were chasing the game, they brought on Ian Bloxham, Niall Ennis. They had forwards. They brought on 3 forwards. And then that's when they went route one, like howitzer stuff. Boom, 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 boom. We did not have those options that they had. None. By the way, Mark Hancock, Jean-Louis Valois was 2001. Oh. What a player, though. Yeah. We don't have those options. The lack of a plan B. And what I'm quite disappointed in, it's not Jack Wilshere, because as Ryman said, we knew what type of football he was going to be playing. Do we have those players? Ultimately, this is the type of football that Rob Edwards wanted to play. So realistically, when we joined when we got relegated into the Championship and Yusuf Sajjad was here and we had this recruitment team structure in place, surely we should have been recruiting these players that were footballers. So I don't understand why we're having to get rid of a load of people now because they're not the right type of footballers. Surely if you can play football, you can play football. It's like we weren't recruiting a Nathan Jones team. We're recruiting a team of possession takers.
Well, the two players that we did recruit for that style of play were Shandon Baptiste and Liam Walsh. They were the only two out and out footballers, and Liam Walsh
and Walters,
obviously hadn't played football for forever, right? But when he came in first, when was the last time he actually played a competitive game of football? And Shandon Baptiste, I don't need to say. You already know where I'm going with it. I don't need to finish that sentence. So
it's Mr. Glass, isn't he?
Exactly.
He's never going to play, is he? I mean, we just need to get rid, because I mean, he's just
who's going to take him? And we're not mutually terminating
Oxford.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt.
I mean, he must be smoking an awful lot of cigars, I tell you, because he don't have to earn his money, does he?
He's on the grass.
Yeah, he is on the grass.
No, funnily enough, I think Baptiste is like one of our only players who is not on the grass. But he could be on the grass. He's laid up for long enough.
Yeah. We talk about not making decisions, and Pete, I agree with you. One of the criticisms I've had of Wilshere, especially over the last few games, is that the game's been crying out for changes that he hasn't made. And while Ollie's right, we haven't had the players to do it all the time. I mean, Huddersfield, for example, we had 2 strikers on the bench that didn't come on until the 60th minute against 10 men. That is borderline criminal. I agree. So there's no argument here. He takes some of the blame, definitely. But I find it interesting that, that kind of proactive management has been missing with confidence in our last 3 managers.
But shouldn't Powell is meant to be the experienced head here that should be guiding Wilshere. Why is Powell not taking more of a front?
It's got to be his decision. We don't know what's going on. All I was going to say though is that look at Rob Edwards. Probably the game that turned the season that got us promoted, in my eyes at least, was the Norwich game. We had 10 men, and Rob Edwards made a brave call to get Cauley Woodrow on the pitch when we were down 10 men, and that's the reason we won the game. I've no doubt about it. It was that call. It was in game, and he was really proactive, Rob Edwards, because we used to say about Nathan Jones, the one criticism we often had about him is he'd make substitutions too late, but that all disappeared when he was in the Championship. Matt Bloomfield, same pressure from the moment he walked through the door. Really, 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 really lethargic with his decision making, and we're seeing the same with Jack Wilshere as well. For me, it's obviously come from that kind of confidence and pressure. I don't know whether that's a Jack Wilshere issue or whether actually Luton wasn't the right club for him to start at, which may well be the point as well. But we've seen it for the last 3 managers.
I'm not so sure the modern day footballer eats, drinks, and sleeps football either. I just don't see it. Some of these players back in the day, they would run through brick walls for you. I'm not entirely sure that these players are prepared to do that for Jack Wilshere. I don't see that sort of grit and intensity and the will to win that players back in the day had. But maybe it's just a different game now. But if he's going to get the best out of the players, then I don't see how he's going to get it out of this group, in all honesty. I mean, he's going to have a phenomenal last 24 hours in the transfer window, and I don't see that happening.
I mean,
he's already...
It's the recruitment team. It's the recruitment team, and I was sent our current squad list, in brackets of the people that are possibly on their way out. So this is quite depressing. So I think we got 8 spaces. Keeley, Shea in goal. Defence, Mengi, Anderson, Naismith, Longwick, Bramall, Adoffin, Johnson, and Walters, who's on the way. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defenders. Midfield, Clark, Nakamba, who may or may not be going. Walsh, Jones, Saville, Morris, Palmer, Baptiste, and Richards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including Nakamba. And then up front, Adebayo, Kojua, Lawrence, Brown, Wells, Alhamadi, and Cole. And Brown, who knows about Brown? Who knows?
Well, I don't think he can pass a fitness test, can he? I think he's had a medical. He had a medical at Bristol City and failed, didn't he?
Yeah.
And so who's gonna want to take him if he can't pass a medical? And who's
we'll
going to
loan him
pay
somewhere, and we'll take his wages. But on the bright side, he's out of contracts at the end of the season, as are a lot of the players. Anyone that signed a new deal in the Premier League, or we signed for the Premier League, they're all out of contracts at the end of the year, unless we agreed an optional extension with them, which we would have to be out of our brains to trigger an extension with a player.
The only 2 players I think at the moment that a decent Championship side might take a punt on would probably be Clark and maybe Mengi, because whilst Mengi sometimes is a bit up and down, he played well on Saturday. That tackle he did at the start of the second half, fantastic. Not many players would have done that. So he could probably play at a better level. Clark's probably got 2 or 3 seasons still in him. A club like a West Brom or someone might take a punt on him. So, you lose those 2 and then you start looking at the squad and it's starting to look a bit thin.
Yeah. It is. We do need quite a big one. I think no more than 2 are coming in, though. I guess if something comes available, they might try and make something happen. But please, I just hope none of this Victor Moses bollocks, where someone fails a medical or an Adofin, or God, who else have we had that's come in injured?
Walsh.
No, Walsh wasn't injured. Walsh
just hadn't
wasn't
played.
Injured.
He was a free agent, wasn't he?
Yeah, Baptiste wasn't injured when he joined. Lord knows how he passed the medical though. But
Alhamadi was injured.
Alhamadi was injured. Like, we have to make sure whoever we bring in is ready. There are 20 games left in the season. We need 18 games left in the season. We've got to make sure whoever we bring in, they're ready to go hit the ground running. None of this
So,
play into form. None of this, they'll be back in a month. We need them ready right now.
So come on then. So do you think on current form we'll finish in the top 6 at this present moment in time?
No.
Not a hope. Not a hope.
A resounding no.
Not a hope. I mean, I said that at the start of the podcast. I just think, you know, despite the fact that we won against a Blackpool team that has lost their last 6 or 7 away games in a row, which, you know, whoop-de-doo. You know, we've not demonstrated anything different.
Sooner or later, someone's going to stick it on us at home as well. By the way,
they probably will, and it might be Bradford. It could be. Who knows? Like if we get flippant or if we get lackadaisical, I'm trying to think of the word. If we're not 100% on it at the beginning of a game, we could get an absolute battering. Who knows?
So interesting you said that, because I think the thing that made me more optimistic, what seems like forever ago, against Leyton Orient, against teams like Leyton Orient, Wickham and Lincoln, despite the fact that we were 2-0 down before we knew it, is that in all of those games we started fast and we created good chances, which is what was reminiscent of Luton under Jones and under Edwards the first time round in the Championship as well. We'd start games fast, and seems to have disappeared in the midst of Exeter away, Plymouth away, and Huddersfield away. That's gone away again. I mean,
slow build up. We got to slowly
exactly
build people up and try and slowly drag them out of positions.
Doesn't that tell you then maybe it's not all just Jack Wilshere ball? And maybe that some of that has to be rested on the players as well.
The players have to be braver. They have to be braver with their movement and their passing.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So the players have to take some of this as well. And I know that, you know, we're saying that, you know, people like, you know, Mengi and Anderson passing it to each other is directed from Jack Wilshere, and of course a lot of it comes from there. But, you know, there is evidence to suggest that actually, you know, Stockport away, again, I keep mentioning it, but it's one of the only away games we've performed well and won. So, you know, I've not got many examples up my sleeve away games, but we didn't play like that. We played far more direct. And actually, you know, I know it's wing back because we played a back 3, but Jones and Richards on that side, amazing. That's what makes me think Jones is a fullback, fine with me if he was fit. But I digress. The point is that, you know, he has shown the ability and the flexibility, etc., that Pete was talking about. He has shown that, but now that then has to be surely down to either him recognising it needs to happen more, or the players actually carrying out that plan and not just constantly passing it from side to side. You know, so it's on all of those. It's on all of them. But yeah, we're going to have to, as you said, in the next 2 games, because we're playing 2 decent sides that aren't going to sit back. They are going to come and press us. They are going to put the pressure on us at the back, and we're going to be a lot more tested. I was speaking to my nephew about it at the game, and he was saying, well, you know, defence has been solid. And this was before the Mengi slide tackle, by the way, which I do think Mengi had a very good game, and that was a great tackle. But before then, I was like, yeah, but the ball's not been on our half. It's fine. I mean, I could have played in defence the first 30 minutes. They weren't getting anywhere near us. It's not a test, is it? This is the problem. As soon as when we get against any sort of pace, that's where the problem is. That's where the issue lies.
As soon as we come up against a little bit of quality, we're found wanting, you know, every game. And, you know, you talk about the Stockport game. We could have been 2-3-0 down in them first 15 minutes.
True. I don't disagree with that. Absolutely. But regardless of that, it was probably the best away performance that I've seen this season.
Yeah,
still.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You're right. I still think we'd have been very unlucky not to score in that game. We certainly created more chances in that game than we've done in the last 3 or 4 put together.
I mean, I don't expect us to play like Brazil every week, but I do expect us to create a few more chances than we did on Saturday. I mean, first half, we had 2 lame shots. I think Morris and I can't remember who the other one was. But, you know, second half, you know, attacking the Kenny as well. I mean, we didn't create anything. Nothing. And
That's the
that's a
thing.
little bit of
That-
that's a little bit alarming.
It comes back to what I was saying about the players needing to be braver, take responsibility, make direct the play, be a leader, point where you want the ball, make the run, and there's none of that. It's frankly quite shocking. And now we're going to be up against Bradford City, and obviously Josh Neuville's going to be back. He's going to relish being back at Kenilworth Road. Then you've got Toure on the other side. I think
Tourist a new one at their place.
Yeah. Well, I think Bobby Poynton, he absolutely destroyed us in that home game. Absolutely destroyed us. What's going to happen now? He's absolutely tearing it up. Like, they've done well to keep hold of him. Well, if they can keep hold of him this window. Yeah, I'm absolutely terrified because they got pace on both sides. They could.
It would be very Luton for us to beat them 3-0 on Saturday.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. So this is going to be my kid's first ever game. I just got the tickets today, which, yeah. Ryman, I saw your face there. Yeah, I know he's a little bit young. I'll have loads of snacks with you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Just it's a good job you're not in F block now then, isn't it?
Exactly. You know, if we scored, he'd just go flying up in the air.
Yeah.
Well, where's he gone?
But yeah.
Well, he'll probably be a Bradford fan after Saturday.
To be honest, I saw someone else post in the chat. Someone said, "Oh, 95, 96. We got relegated that year." So yeah, when I started going was that season, and my earliest memory, I don't remember what my first game was. My earliest memory was my dad turning to me at the game and saying, "Oh, that's us relegated." I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Welcome to Luton Town FC. Yeah,
welcome to Luton.
I was speaking to someone at the game, and they had their little boy with them as well, and I was talking about the same season, and then said, I'm not going to tell you how long it took for us to turn things around again, but there were some great times in between. You know, Joe Kinnear in what is now League Two, and Mike Newell at the pub. I mean, Mike Newell managing and at the pub quite a lot of the time as well in the Championship. There were some fun times.
Yeah, the Brickies named a beer after him. The Brickies had his own beer.
Yeah.
Adam Boyd.
Adam Boyd. Yeah. Everyone starts on the point.
Who was better, Adam Boyd or Jerry Yates?
Jeez. Or Jake Jervis.
Jake Jervis, he had that one absolutely tremendous goal.
But Jake Jervis was never signed as our big marquee number 9.
He was a backup. He was very much. He was a January window, last minute Hail Mary signing that we got from Plymouth.
Warren Feeney.
Warren
Feeney. Took a year for him to score, didn't it?
He's still got 10 goals. Like he's still scored one of my favourite shithouse goals of all time. I mean shithouse. He didn't know anything about it.
I know.
I've talked about it so much. QPR, ball comes across, gets deflected, hits him in the face and goes in. I think that was a cup game. He had no idea. There you go, new maniac. Nice pint of Golden Hatter. I actually put the picture myself up on Hatter's Heritage. It's a good one of him pulling a pint in the Brickies. Yeah, Warren Feeney was terrible. But you know what? He tried. And it was just so funny because he came off being absolutely on form for Bournemouth, Warren Feeney. So we thought, we got Warren Feeney. Whereas Jerry Yates, he came off like missing chance after chance after chance and being out of Derby's team. Boyd, he came off being injured, and he came to us really overweight, if memory serves as well. Injured, yeah.
Didn't he score against England as well for Ireland?
Adam Boyd?
No, Warren Feeney.
Oh, Warren Feeney, yes. I was like, Adam Boyd? Yeah.
Adam Boyd came from Hartlepool, didn't he?
Yeah, Boyd came from Hartlepool.
He was superb at Hartlepool as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Was that under Newell as well?
That was how Newell knew him.
Was Hartlepool that was Newell. It's Newell's job before he came to us.
He was bagging like 20 goals a season, Adam Boyd, but then he went off, got injured. I wrote his bio for Hatter's Heritage, actually. I know I keep mentioning Hatter's Heritage. Make sure you check out Hatter's Heritage if you want to see all the old Luton teams of the past and read bios about them. Absolutely tremendous stuff. Loads of pictures. But we've overrun. We've had such a good chat. Pete, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Really appreciate that.
No problem, mate. There's no darts next Saturday, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
You have to find something else to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Place in the sun or something. There's got to be
Six
something.
Nations starting next week. It might be some
Oh, yeah,
rugby
we've
on.
got some rugby. Perfect.
There you go. No worries, mate. Happy to help.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Listen, have a good week.
Yeah, have a good
Take
week,
care.
mate. Appreciate
Thanks,
it. Thank you for taking the time to chat to us. That was Pete.
Yeah.
Always very, very good points, I believe.
Yeah. I was laughing at Highland Hatter, who just said Yates missed a City yesterday and made 2 passes before he subbed off. It's nice to see some consistency there. But by the way, we've not seen the last of Yates, right? Sheffield Wednesday ain't going to buy him because they ain't got any bloody money. So he's coming back to us. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So
like,
hold your hats.
seriously, I'm absolutely terrified about having Yates back.
We will get him.
That is
aren't
such
we?
a waste of money, and we've probably signed him to a 3-year deal. So essentially, we're going to have to flog him, or we're going to have to mutually terminate. And we're not going to mutually terminate because that costs a lot.
Didn't
of
do it
money.
with Nakamba. We're not going to do it
We're
with
not going
Yates.
to do.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly. Like if we
Well-
mutually terminate Marvin Nakamba, I will be very surprised. But honestly, if there's no plan to play him for the rest of the season, might as well, because if we can mutually terminate at 50% of his salary, then happy days. We've saved 300k, you know, at a minimum. If we're not going to play him, might as well just mutually terminate, pay him the money, get him gone. We should have done it at the beginning of the season because it would have cost us less money than what we've spent on him so far. He's been absolute disappointment of it. It's an unfortunate one because the injuries have cost him, and the relegation to League One has really cost us as well. You know, because
I'm not blaming Nakamba. I don't tend to blame Nakamba because look, you know, it's easy in hindsight to say it was a terrible signing, but every single person wanted desperately for that signing to go ahead. It was the signing after we won the playoff that everybody wanted the most was Nakamba. So anyone turning around and saying it was a terrible signing, that's terrible recruitment, are absolute hypocrites. I'm sorry, because that's nonsense. That's unfortunate what's happened there. You can't say the same for most of the rest of the team, unfortunately.
No, this comes back to the January transfer window in the Premier League where we screwed the pooch there completely. We should have made a better fist of staying up. Best chance we would have ever had. 2 teams getting point deductions. We had a chance. We didn't take it. You reap what you sow. And now the Premier League will haunt us forever, in the words of David Wilkinson. Time for a change in CEO. Someone to actually make a bit of a change. Maybe a football guy that comes in will have different thoughts on what to do with the footballing side in terms of the recruitment, because
we'll pay some more attention to it.
Exactly. But hey ho, right. But we're going to be back tomorrow. Not Ryman. He gets a night off for good behaviour. It's going to be me and Stevie tomorrow for Deadline Day. We didn't realise Deadline Day finishes at 7 p.m. Actually, finishes. No, we didn't realise it didn't finish at 11. It finishes at 7. So we'll be on at 9 to round up everything that's happened. All the business. Who knows who's going to be leaving us tomorrow? Who knows? Yeah. But that's...
To be fair, it finished at 7 last time, and there were still deals being done at 11. So you'll probably
because there'll be deal sheets going in, won't there? So
exactly. So it doesn't really finish at 7.
Yeah, absolutely. But everyone who's been in the chat, thank you very much for joining us. Come back again tomorrow, and we'll round up all the transfer stuff. If you want to call in, the call link is in the description below the video, and I can also put it in the chat every now and then. But as always, until tomorrow, Deadline Day, everyone take it easy, and most importantly, come on, you Hatters.